Good evening, everyone. Welcome to this council meeting of the City of Bunbury. Welcome everyone in the gallery, staff, councillors, CEO. Begin with the acknowledgement of country. We acknowledge the traditional owners of the land, the Noongar Wadandi people, and their continuing connection to the land, waters and community. We pay our respects to their elders, to all members of the Aboriginal communities and their cultures, and to elders past, present and emerging. Councillors, I have some announcements. Sadly, Councillor Quain's mother passed away last night, and therefore she's an apology, and we pass on our condolences to Councillor Quain and her family. I also note the passing of Mr. Jeff Oddy, who was a former long-time staff member of the City of Bunbury and was the inaugural CEO of Aquawest in Bunbury until he retired a few years ago. So we pay our condolences to Jeff's family as well. Thank you. We apologies from Councillor Quain, and the Mayor is on leave from the 14th to the 28th of August. Councillors, any declarations of interest? Thank you. We have some questions. We have 4 people who are asking questions. Can I just point out to those asking questions that you can't debate, you just ask your question, we give you the answer. If we can't give you the answer, we'll take it on notice. Thank you very much. We begin with Mr. Gary Calgarrett.
Kaya Yanka. That means hello, and I thank you for letting me be here. Okay, my question has something to do with the comment that was being widely publicised in the newspapers and on your website. Councillor made a comment when it was in regards to Aboriginal people. I'm an Aboriginal person. I'm white-skinned. My dad wasn't. My mum was. My mum's a Hiriang, or you would know as a white person or a modular. I hold the council in high esteem because a lot of people are giving their time to direct where a town or a city is going to go. So I have no ill feeling against anyone. But I do have to say the comment by that councillor about...
Sorry, Mr. Calgarrett, you probably need to get to your question rather than debate the issue. Thank you.
Yeah, okay. I just want to let you know first that I'm not angry. I'm a little upset. I'm annoyed about that comment of pure of heart when it was put up the way it was. And then to reply that what the council meant by pure of heart and soul, not directed at race. But when you put it into context, the way she first said it, it comes out that way. And then I look at the article and I read that another councillor was censored or told to retract something, but that councillor was not told to retract that comment. You know, they talk about bringing the council in disrepute.
Sorry, Mr. Calgarrett, you really do have to ask the question.
The question is,
yeah, thank you.
What's going to happen about the councillor that said that statement about pure and then pure of heart and soul? Because it was a racist saying.
Thank you. I can't personally speak on behalf of the Mayor, Mr. Calgarrett. The presiding member of any meeting always follows standing orders. As you know, Councillor Giles raised a point of order over the comments to which Councillor McCleary provided an explanation of her comments. The video of the meeting is available on the Council's website.
I have seen it.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'll leave it at that. One other thing. I have written to the Minister of Local Government and made a complaint to him.
Thank you, Mr. Calgarrett. Next we have Mr. Andrew Cook.
Good evening, Deputy Mayor, CEO, councillors. Thank you. 2 questions. Is the City of Bunbury and the Council aware of the duty of care that it owes its residents and ratepayers, and the penalties that might be imposed for any such breach, either individually or as an entity?
I'll get the CEO to answer that. Thank you, Mr Cook.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So in terms of, I'll break that into two questions, Mr Cook. Is the City of Bunbury and the Council fully aware of its duty of care? Yes, it is. And that's why there's community engagement, public consultation, as well as the City following the law of the day. In relation to the second part of it, I'm not sure which Act of Parliament or what you're suggesting the penalties may be under, so perhaps we can have an offline conversation around the particular piece of legislation you're referring to.
My second question. What risk management policy is in place to manage proposals or projects and also to assess how they may adversely impact members of the community? And what has been implemented by the City and Council to proactively identify, prevent and address mental health issues within the community that may be caused by the City and Council's actions?
I'll get the CEO to answer that, Mr Cook, but can I preface it by saying the Council is very mindful of its duties in this arena. And I'll hand over to the CEO now. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The City runs under a strategic risk management arrangement and also an operational risk management arrangement. So we do look at the various programs and projects that the City runs and apply some risk management perspective around those. I think, if I'm correct, this is referring to the Street Treat Heritage.
It is.
So that is a process that's being conducted under the Town Planning and Development Act. And bear in mind there's been no decision made by Council at this stage.
Thank you.
Thank you. We next have Charmaine Councillor. Is Miss Charmaine Councillor attending? No. How do I'm going to read the questions out. As a local Noongar language hub, WMAKC, established in Bunbury for the last 2 years, we've engaged in projects with the City of Bunbury and have achieved some great outcomes in dual names and language consultancy. As we have another entity in our city, Nala Kala Budja, I have concerns that the City of Bunbury are now engaging with this entity as the first point of call when it comes to language consultancy. I have an example of this in the form of an email. I'm going to ask the CEO to answer that question, please.
Again, thank you, Madam Chair. So the City has had an ongoing relationship not only with WMAKC, but I guess the Language Centre has been providing us as a city with information for some time. So more recently, through the Southwest Noongar Native Title Settlement, Nala Kala Budja has been formed as a local corporation, and we have a right and a responsibility, I believe, to liaise not only with GKB, but also with other Aboriginal groups of our community. So there's not a one-size-fits-all for this, Madam Chair, and the City would intend to certainly liaise and work with GKB to the very best of our ability, but to also seek out support from other Aboriginal people and other Aboriginal groups to assist the City.
Thank you, Mr CEO. Part two of the question is, I want to know what does this mean now for our local businesses and our local community who are working in the language field and striving for the same thing? Mr CEO.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I don't know that it means anything different to the processes that the City has undertaken in the past. If the City needs specific technical expertise, it will seek expertise. And like all things that the City tries to achieve, it's looking for value for money and good quality service, and will continue to do that.
Thank you, Mr CEO. And question 3, is there a reconciliation action plan developed by the City of Bunbury, and if so, is it current, and does it identify the new and up-and-coming cultural hubs that are established in our local community? Thank you, Mr CEO.
Thank you. The City of Bunbury does have a reconciliation action plan which was formed in 2018-2019. It's been undergoing some level of review for the past year and a half. So is it current? It still has some incomplete actions from when it was formed, It was the first reconciliation action plan that was done as a regional RAP, including the Shire of Harvey, Shire of Dardanup and the Shire of Capel when that was formed, with support and guidance from ECU at the time. So yes, it is needing to be renewed, and there'll be plenty of consultation and conversations around renewing that RAP.
Thank you, Mr CEO. And the final question. Beg your pardon? I've got it here, I beg your pardon. No, that was question 3, was it not? Yes, thank you. We will also probably put those in writing to Ms Chancellor, Mr CEO, answer those questions. Thank you. Next we have Mr Anthony Lillard of Parkville Street, Bunbury. Mr Lillard, would you like to come forward, please? Not here?
Through you, Madam Chair, I think Mr Lydiard did mention he may have not been able to make it.
Okay.
He's going to try to be here. You're entitled to read the questions out should you so desire.
Okay, in the result of fairness, I'll read his out as well, if that's acceptable to the council. Question 1. Can the committee confirm that a full and independent report has been carried out to quantify the ongoing future impacts of residents of the Tree Street Heritage Area proposal in terms of economic, social, environmental and personal implications? Mr CEO.
Madam Chair, for all these 3 questions, we'll be taking those on notice and replying separately.
Thank you. Question 2. Please can the council quantify the financial benefit in terms of additional funding that the City of Bunbury will receive if this Tree Street Heritage Area proposal is implemented? Mr CEO.
Again, Madam Chair, we'll take that on notice and
Thank you.
reply accordingly.
And question 3, other than creating additional perceived burdens for, it says residents, but I presume he means residents, of the proposed Tree Street Heritage in terms of both financial and work, what is being proposed by the council to add equal value to the proposal? Mr CEO, can you answer that?
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. Again, we'll take this on notice, but bearing in mind this question was asked a number of times during the community forum, and we'll address that back to Mr Lydiard, and it'll be recorded in the minutes of these meetings.
Thank you, Mr CEO. Thank you. That's the final questions we have from the public. Thank you. We now move on to 6.2, response to public questions taken on notice. Are the answers already there, Mr CEO? Thank you. Confirmation of the previous minutes of the council meeting 25th of July 2023. Could someone move those, please? Councillor Steele, seconded. Councillor Giles. I'll put those all in favour. Thank you. That's carried. Thank you. Minutes of the council advisory committees. Youth Advisory Council. Do we have a council rep here? Councillor Yip. Someone moving? Councillor Yip. Seconded. Councillor Giles. All those in favour? That's carried. Thank you. Minutes of the special council meeting held on the 25th of July. Someone prepared to move, please. Councillor Kosasek. Councillor Gassett. Sorry, it's just a moment, Councillor Gassett. You were seconded, Councillor Steele. Yes, Councillor Gassett.
Madam Deputy, may I have notice to amend the minutes to correspond to the actual code? That's possible. I have a notice to amend those minutes, Madam Chair. You already have the notice.
Thank you, Mr Councillor Gassett. I've taken advice on this issue and I've been informed this information has been given to the Mayor and myself on the interpretation of the intent of clause 8.13, specifically part 3, and under these circumstances there's no provision for you to make a personal explanation at the time. I will ask the CEO to expand on this and read out the clause in its entirety so we're all understanding where this is happening.
Madam Chair, can we read out my notice, please?
Sorry, Mr.
Can we read out the notice of my motion to amend?
I will. Before then, I'll let the CEO read the clause.
Because of, out of respect for what occurred with Marina Quain, I want to see just keep it nice and...
Okay, you might have to wait a moment. Well, perhaps Mr. Councillor Gassett, if the CEO commences reading that because I have to get your off my computer and I haven't got it open as yet. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. CEO.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Look, in the first instance, clause or part 11 of the Local Government Act provides details of what is to be recorded in the minutes and the content of the minutes, and therefore when the city looks at how we record and publish our minutes, all those sections of the Act are complied with. So in terms then of Councillor Gassib's request to have his personal explanation piece added into the minutes, the intent of 8.13 in the standing orders is, and you have to read all three parts of the standing orders. So there's part 1, part 2, part 3. Part 1 provides the ability for an elected member to make a personal explanation relating to a matter referred to by another member who is then speaking. Part 2, the presiding members determine whether the personal explanation is to be heard immediately or at the conclusion of the speech by the other member. And part 3, a member making a personal explanation is to confine his or her observations to a succinct statement relating to a specific part of the speech at which he or she may have been misunderstood. So my very clear interpretation of this, Madam Chair, is that this is part of debate, not general commentary or any other matter, only when council is in debate. And I'll leave that there, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Mr. CEO. I will now, in fairness to Councillor Gassib, read out what he had requested. He requested the right to give a personal explanation in Standing Orders 8.13. This was declined and Councillor Gassib requested that that be inserted in the minutes. So I'm, according to the governance information I've been giving Councillor Gassib, I'm not going to agree to that. So can someone please move the minutes of that meeting, please?
What you just read out be minuted? And can I ask that?
Mr. CEO?
Again, Madam Chair, the city has not and does not record verbatim every piece of conversation, every dialogue or every contention within the meeting. Generally it's attendance, it is procedural motions and the vote for and against those motions.
Okay, could someone please?
Councillor Yip and myself had already moved and seconded.
Thank you.
Councillor Kozisek.
Councillor
Sorry.
Kozisek moved, Councillor Steele, seconded.
Chair?
Sorry, Councillor Gassib.
It is a notice of motion in accordance with section 14 of the standing orders. So I'm not sure. I don't want to sort of dwell on it too much, but I'm just curious. I'd really like to resolve these things. Section 14 standing orders says we provide a notice of motion to amend the minutes. So the notice of that motion be recorded.
Okay,
in the minutes.
Councillor Gassib, we've had the explanation from the governance section, so I think we have to proceed with that. So, councillors, moved by Councillor Kozisek, seconded by Councillor Steele. All those in favour, please. Thank you. Those against? Councillor Gassib, we'll certainly record that for you. Thank you. Councillors, we have no petitions that I understand. Is that correct, Mr. CEO? No presentations, no deputations, no councillors' delegates report, no conference delegates reports, and method of dealing with agenda business. Now, councillors, any of these that you wish to take out for debate, please?
11 and 14.
Beg your pardon, Councillor Steck, that was
11 and 14.
11, 14.
Leave of absence, ma'am.
Is any others?
10.3, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much. I just have a question on 10.4.
Sorry, Councillor Gassib, what was yours?
10.31, Madam Chair.
10.31.
And I just have a question on 10.4.3.
Just a moment, please, Councillor Steele, while I get. So, Councillor Steck, your number was 13 point. Councillor Steck?
Sorry, madam, it's application for leave of absence. 11.
Sorry, I still didn't catch that, Councillor Steck. Can you tell me the number, please?
Sorry. It's an application for leave of absence. It's 11
Okay,
and 14, ma'am.
11 14, thank you. Yeah, it's not an item, okay. So councillors, at this stage, we have coming out for debate 10.3.1, is that correct? Correct? Any others? Right. Is someone-
10.4.3, I have a question. 4.3.
Okay, thank you. So when we get to that item, we'll get you to ask your question, councillor Steele. Is someone prepared to move the remainder of those items on block, please? Councillor Andrew? Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Thank you, councillor Steck. All those in favour? Thank you, that's carried. We now move to 10.3.1. Is someone prepared to move that, please?
I'll move it, Madam Chair.
You're moving, councillor Gassett. Thank you. Seconded? Who was seconded, please? Councillor Giles. Thank you. Councillor Gassett.
Madam Chair, I wanted the opportunity to just raise this and maybe speak to a couple of the items. The corporate, the business plan quarterly, there's about 160 items in here, and the absolute majority are nicely progressed. There is a lot of work, I have to acknowledge that, and congratulations. I wanted to raise a couple of the ones that are on hold. One is the basketball court, or Southwest Sports Centre. The other one is on the Marcia. Another one is on the risk management. And another couple in here on page 7 are to do with Indigenous. One is partnering with the Shire of Capel, Dardanup, Harvey, on the reconciliation, which the CEO has already mentioned. That's on hold. The other one is 223 on page 7, which is engage with the local elders to consider options for dual naming of significant landmarks and places. And it's also a major issue as far as, according to this, working towards further clarity regarding who the traditional owners, elders, CEO Mayor committed to organise an externally facilitated session and so on. So I want to just talk to that second part in terms of naming. We have a lot of challenges coming up, Madam Chair, as a council in the future, you know, with bore and tourism and all that sort of stuff. And I'm feeling that we really need to start reinventing ourselves as a city. I really do. And, you know, I'm really mean that from the bottom of my heart. And I have had it on notice, and I think the staff are going to be still working on it at the moment, to the notice of my motion previously to do with this, actually, to rename the city of Bunbury to an Indigenous name. And if you look at the history of Captain or Lieutenant Bunbury, he actually, you know, in his own words, killed about 25 Aboriginals, and he named them, and then quoted one afternoon saying, things seem to be quiet this afternoon after I went out and shot a few of them. I feel we need to engage, you know, with the whole community, including obviously the Indigenous people, to look at reinventing ourselves. Yeah, I'm nearly finished. And look at actually renaming Bunbury in honour.
Sorry,
Yeah.
councillor Gassett, are you talking to this motion or?
Yeah, I'm supporting the motion.
Yes,
I'm
okay.
supporting this.
Yeah.
So, and 223 specifically talks about dual naming of different landmarks. I'm thinking do the whole lot. And if I could just, you know, throw my first idea in the ring about a name. We're a port city, and Kaya, welcome. Port Kaya would be a fantastic name. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Councillor Giles, no, you don't want to speak to everyone. Anyone speaking against this motion? Thank you. I'll put the motion. All in favour? Thank you. That's carried. Councillor Steele.
Could I answer my own question?
Okay.
Right.
You answer your own question, excellent. Do you wish, who moved this motion again? Someone move this motion? Move the motion. Thank you, councillor Steele. Seconder. Councillor Turner. Is there likely to be any speaker against this motion? If not, I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Thank you, that's carried. Councillors, we now move to applications for leave of absence. I have an application from Councillor Steck for the time 14th of September to 25th of September. Can someone move that, please? Councillor McCleary, seconded. Councillor Gossesek. All in favour? You can go, Councillor Steck. We're going to let you go. Thank you. Oh, yes. Of course, there's mine as well. It's not up there. Oh, yes, it is. Can I be granted leave of absence, please, from the 7th of September to the 16th of September, please? Councillor Andrew, you moving that for me? Thank you very much. If I can second it, Councillor Giles. All those in favour? Thank you very much. We have no motions on notice, Mr CEO. Okay. Do we have any questions from members?
Yes, Madam Chair.
Councillor
Again,
Cassidy.
a lot of things go through my mind, Madam Chair, as to what's possible and what's not. So I do have a couple of questions. I actually had probably a dozen questions, but in light of what's occurred, I just want to keep it nice and quiet. But one in particular that springs up is, I just want to know whether we as a council can invest our cash into a diversified index fund. It appears to me that we can't, but I wouldn't mind just confirming it from our people, if that's the case or not.
CEO?
And I can give you a definition of a diversified index fund.
CEO?
Councillor Gassick, sorry, could you just repeat the question, please?
The question is, can we invest our cash as a council in a non-cash deposit, such as a diversified index fund, which is what was recommended in the Ocean Pool report?
Mr CEO?
So, Madam, just to clarify, that was an option within the study that was produced, but it wasn't the recommendation of council to progress that. And I think you know the answer to this question is no, local governments cannot invest in a diversified fund.
Thank you. No further questions, councillors? If not, number 14, new business of an urgent nature introduced by decision of the meeting. Councillor Steck, do you have a question?
Yes, Madam Chair, I have a question if I can make this a urgent item with the support of the council, and that is to add a new traffic count machine both sides on Beach Road and Carey Street, because the original application had only had one side of the street being counted. So could I ask council that we support that as an urgent item, please, ma'am? And the reason that it is urgent is because if we don't conduct this now, the information that will go to the SAT will be incomplete, ma'am.
Mr CEO, can we have some feedback on that before I put that, please?
Sorry, Madam Chair, I'm just trying to get some clarity around what it is that... So, Councillor Steck, I understand what you're suggesting is you're looking for a council resolution under an urgent item to do some additional traffic counting.
Yes, that's...
I think that's quite highly unusual.
For both sides, so.
She's talking about both sides of the road.
Yeah, I understand.
Yeah.
I understand the the logistics of that, but I don't know that this is a forum to actually ask for that. So, Mr. Harris, maybe can you just shed some light on how the city does traffic counts and what timeframes that normally is accounted for, please?
Yeah, through you, Madam Chair. Generally have 10 traffic count machines. They go out for a 2-week period. They collect an amount of data, including traffic volumes, traffic speed, traffic types of traffic vehicles, timing, etc. So we rotate those around as required. They're usually out for 2 weeks, back in for a week, and then out for 2 weeks. So I don't know the exact schedule, so I'm not sure. Sometimes if we have a If we've got dual lanes or a split road system with an island in the middle, we put traffic counters on both sides of the roads, because that's what you need to do in those situations. If it's just a normal street, we would have one traffic counter that would go across the street and record that information. I'm unsure of where those traffic counts are at the moment.
Okay. Councillor Stepp, can we perhaps just delay this for a bit to get some more information for the staff to see if this is absolutely feasible in the short term, please?
Well then, Madam Chair, could I amend it to say that given the schedule that the executive have just read out, if it permits that, the machine can be actually swapped or changed, or whatever word you would like to use, from one location to another location, because as I will stress, Madam Chair, this is of an urgent item because the matter is proceeding. And in the cases of extreme urgency, ma'am, under 5.41, or any other special circumstances of matters, may on a motion by the presiding member that is carried by the meeting be raised without a motion on notice or notice, and it is decided by the meeting. So this is the forum, ma'am. I have picked and selected the correct forum in our standing orders.
Madam
But,
Chair, if
you
just
have
a
the
moment.
decision-making power, ma'am.
Yeah, just a moment.
You do.
Just a
if
moment,
someone
please.
moves it, I'm happy to second it.
Just a moment, Mr Gassip. I'm just going to get some more advice before we get to that point. Yeah.
Through you, Madam Chair, can I just, Mr Barber, I think, has got some clarity around the process of the matter before SAT. And now, could we just hear from Mr Barber first, please?
Through you, Madam Chair. So the SAT has set a hearing date. From memory, I think it's around the 24th of October or somewhere in that week. Our solicitor is dealing with gathering appointing expert witnesses, gathering witness statements, gathering any technical information that's required. So if our solicitor requests that additional information is required to support the case, then we will provide that. In the absence of our solicitor requesting it, I'm not sure that we would be doing any further work on it.
So, Mr Sarah, can I ask through you, without our solicitor asking us further, it's not appropriate for us to add further information at this point?
Through you, Madam Chair, if our legal representative requires further information, as Mr Barber indicated, we will get that information. But I think there's a point here regarding the standing orders, and this council, to my mind, has never just taken urgent matters off the floor, from the floor, without any form of background information, without any form of assessment of the implications of those items. So I think there is a little bit of a procedural issue to be dealt with.
Yeah.
But I think for Councillor Steck, I think you've got some clarity from the two directors that if we are required, or if that's going to be advantageous to the city's case, then that data will be found, no matter, we'll use our existing counters or hire a counter, whatever we need to do that.
Councillor Stepp, just before we proceed, I'd like to see what Councillor Giles wished to say.
I was going to make a comment. Mr. Mayor, I believe this is an operational matter rather than a council policy matter. Putting counters on streets, I'm not sure we've ever had a motion like that before. Just an observation.
Okay. Councillor Stepp.
Madam Chair, may I ask that that the standing order apply, because that is why it is here. It's not true that we haven't done this before. I've been here for maybe, I can't recall, but 18 years, and I can say we have done this before. And I'll also say that we are the client. From where I come from, and in all my dealings with solicitors and specialists, clients ask for the solicitor a direction. You can set the direction of a solicitor. You don't just have to pay a fee and accept everything. You can guide them, and as the client, if I want this, I'm entitled to this. And I am part of this council, ma'am. And you do have authority.
Thank you, Councillor Stepp.
Under this section here, ma'am, which is table of contents of standing local laws. And as the director has said, we will be proceeding in the SAT on the 24th of October. So the 24th of October, if we don't have this count, it'll just keep continuing going to the SAT, and then it will be part of more negotiations. So, actually, I'm debating. Apologise.
Thank you. Councillor Stewart.
If I can have a question, please, that since we know the date that it's now 24th of October, we actually do, and I do agree with Councillor Steck, we actually have done urgent motions twice in my time that I've been here. I think that we should still be able to do them, whether we have in this lifetime or not, but I still think we should do them. That we do have now time to, maybe we could actually ask our solicitor if we should be doing an account. And if we do, we actually can bring that up back as a motion, because now we have time to do it in the next round of in our next round to actually ask for that count to be done, or
Okay.
if we can put that into the timeline.
Okay, while I consider the motion, Mr CEO, can I ask how long these things take to install and how long do they run for, and so that you give an accurate count?
Probably not the right person to give that information, Mr Barber may, but I think picking up on Councillor Steck's queries and Councillor Steele's comments, I'm giving it as a taken, Mr Barber, that we'll ask that question and see whether our legal advisor believes there's some benefit in having that data. If they give us the answer of yes, the city will progress those traffic counts on both sides of Beach Road to support the case that the city's putting before SAT. And then the second point is what Councillor Steele's also raised, is that this is possibly not, in my belief, a matter of such urgency that it can't be dealt with in the next round. At the same time, acknowledging it is a bit of it is very much an operational matter, not a matter for council to normally be involved in.
I'll accept what you have to say, sir, but however, when this matter has come before us and it was a unanimous decision in this council not to support this development, I would suggest this goes far beyond operational, sir.
Councillor Gassab, you had something to say?
Look, just for my own, again, I'm learning a lot about standing orders, Madam Chair, some crash courses lately. But so I can carry out my role in this council, I'd like to ask the question about Standing Order 5.41 or 2. What specific element in those two clauses prevents us from raising an urgency motion if the meeting feels that it should? Specifically, which element in those clauses?
Can I do that, Mr CEO?
Through you, Madam Chair, the first part is good governance, and to have matters raised from the floor that have got no research, no background, no financial implications, no strategic implications, no legislative implications, I think it's dangerous for the council and the city. That's why we have processes from notice of motion, etc., where there's a lead time to be able to research what the council or councillor would like to put forward. If you then refer to part 2 of 5.4, Councillor Gassab, is this matter of such importance and urgency that it cannot be dealt with in the next round of council? In my belief, no. It could be easily dealt with if it was a matter for the council to decide and to determine that it could easily be dealt with in the next round. The third element is to put a traffic counter on the road is essentially an operational task, not a strategic or policy role of the city, of the council of the City of Bunbury.
Thank you. Councillor Turner, you wish to...
Can I just add to that? I mean, I think I've had probably 10 or 15 ones put around town. It's just a simple email and they'll follow up on it if you want to know. So I don't really think you need a motion for it. And they will follow up on it, and then they've got that information there. Now
just a moment, Councillor Turner. Is this a question rather than debate? Because we haven't moved or seconded anything at this stage. So, yeah, okay. Thank you. Councillor Steck, are you willing to wait for the next round?
Well, Madam Chair, I have witnessed these sorts of motions raised before during my time on council. I have raised it as an urgent item. I wish to proceed because if it is a simple email getting things done, well then this is just moving a traffic count. There's not a lot of financial implications. There's not a lot of research that needs to be required. It's a simple thing. So if it dies tonight, well then I just think maybe you can do it the next round. But I can't see that it is such a high cost and a highly difficult item
Councillor
to research.
Steck, you're debating again. So
Sorry, ma'am.
Mr CEO and councillors, I'm going to allow this motion to go forward. So would you like to move the motion, councillor Kent Andrew?
Point of order, Madam Chair. Can we please have clarification, because only the presiding member may move a motion or bring the motion to the table.
Sorry. Oh. Just a moment. Okay. Well, is that, on that advice, I'm not prepared to move that motion. Okay, so.
Please,
Sorry.
Madam Chair, are you saying that no one here can move the motion, or are you recommending the motion can go forward, although you are not putting the motion forward? Someone else would do that. I think we had someone move it and we had a seconder over there. Are you saying no to that, or are you saying no, that you're not going to move the motion? I'm a little bit confused there.
Councillor McCreary, I was going to allow the motion to allow the council to decide what they thought on this motion. The CEO's advised me that the motion has to come from the presiding member, not the councillor, not Councillor Steck. So under those circumstances, I'm not prepared to move that motion. Okay.
Just for elected members' comfort, we have given an indication we will progress what needs to be done around traffic counts on Beach Road in conjunction with advice from our legal representative as soon as we can. And then we'll, if we need to redeploy a traffic counter from where they are currently, we'll default on those current counts and we'll move to Beach Road, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Mr CEO. Well, councillors, that we come to the end of our meeting. Thank you all for your attendance, and I close the meeting at 6:12 p.m. Thank you all for your attendance.